Yeah, very happy with today. But first of all, I want to say, I haven't had a chance to say it, but our 12th man, the fans and everything. Thank you so much for the support you gave us this year. When all those teams were complaining about the fans, and we was only a quarter full, so I can't wait till we fill that thing up next year and make it really miserable on the guys coming in here. But great shout out to those guys and all of our people who support us. I mean, it's second to none, and very happy with everyone there and what we're doing. But yeah, very happy with today. Right now, we've got LJ Johnson to sign. As I say, it's a little bit not as a little anticlimactic with all the numbers, but it was big getting him. I mean, he was huge. He's a great player. Very excited about what he can bring to us. Great. First of all, he's a great young man, very intelligent young man, great student, and then one heck of a back. I mean, big, physical, fast, very, very smooth. It's almost like you don't even realize how good he is by how little his nuances and making people miss and not wasted motion and getting vertical when he catch the ball, block. But just a tremendous player, and we'll be very blessed to have him, and very excited about that. And hopefully, we still got some other guys in the mix. We'll see what happens. But very excited about what the future's going to bring, and we'll add a couple more guys, probably through before this weekend's out. So very excited about it and ready to go. Questions?
We'll start off with Gabe Bach from Texags.com.
Yeah, Jimbo, I just want to ask you a little bit more about LJ. You've got some special backs on campus. How does he sort of complement when he steps right in here, complement what you already have?
Well, I think he complements because he can do everything. And I think that's today's time. The thing you have to do in the backfield, you had the old way. He's a good pass receiver. He's a third down guy. Well, he's a good he can run the ball between the tackles. Well, today's game, man, when you can leave one guy in there and he can do all those things, they don't know what you're going to do. And that's what I think is what LJ can do. He's a great runner between the tackles, has power, strong, 208, 10 pounds, very natural, great pad level. But he can run the stretch and run away. I mean, run sub 4 in the 4.4, low 4.4s for us in camp 2 years in a row. Vertical, jump, athletic, can get the outside, can run away from you the back end, can pass block, can catch the ball out of the backfield. If you're in spread stuff, can throw screens to him, can throw screen, can get vertical down the field and catch the ball, run option routes. I mean, just a lot of everything he does. Just a complete guy. And like I say, very intelligent young man and very instinctive and very competitive young man.
All right, next up is Brent Zorderman from the Houston Chronicle.
Hi, Jimbo. I don't mean to get too philosophical on you here, but in recruiting, do you find your competitive juices flowing almost like a game outside the game to help determine who's going to win?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially when there's non-truths in there. You know what I mean? Because the thing goes on. But no, it does. I mean, it's a competition all the time. Listen, you're competing for guys. Your relentless work ethic, your ability to understand, get people to see the vision you see and where they want them to be. You can picture them. Can you get them to picture themselves and where they think it's the right and that most definitely. And trying to make the right decisions and keep things going the right way. But it's very competitive for those guys, and you have to. I mean, this whole game, life and world in general is competition. You got to be competitive every day in everything you do and what we do in our world right now, especially down in this part of the country. It's a very dog eat dog competitive world down here.
Now, some of your longtime peers in the game have seemed like they've gotten a little tired of what's going on with the free agency and the free for all. What's kept it fun for you in terms of the college game? And are there any short-term answers to what's going on or long-term?
No, there's no short-term, but listen, change is inevitable. Change is always going to be that way. You have to, whether you want to adapt is up to you. You don't always, and listen, it's changed. Sometimes you like, and there's changes you don't like. Those are the rules of the game you got to play by. The only rules I don't like is when people don't do it legitimately. There's other enticements and things that go on there and that are illegal. I think that's where this game and recruiting gets crazy, and you got to really put your hand down and put your foot down, and those things don't happen. But these choices are for, the kids can do it. Hopefully they don't move as much as we think they're going to do, because there's not enough scholarships out there for all these guys moving. People don't have places for them, and kids end up having to go down or not even playing again. I read a story the other day. I don't know where it was from. Somebody was reading about a guy. He had played, had 2 good years, decided he wanted to move, get some more playing time, put himself in the portal, never played again. No one had a scholarship for him. So I think we got to be careful in those regards. But, it's just, the guys that graduate, definitely they're eligible quickly. When you're deciding now, it looks like they're going to the NCAA is going to give you a one-time transfer. It looks like it's heading that way. We'll see. But I hope guys can not get frustrated when they're young and willing to work for things. And if coach is getting on you or pushing you or challenging you, that you can push through that and not have to, look to run every time that something doesn't go your way, because I don't think that's good either. But at the same time, I think there is times when guys can transfer. The future's not here, or you got a year or two left and your playing time could be limited and you have a year left or things. Or 2 years. I mean, I think that somebody can transfer and leave. And because it may be the last 2 years you're ever allowed to play football. So there's good and bad in all of it. I just think we just got to regulate it somehow to make it fair. And, that's the NCAA's job. And then we'll adapt to the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Olin Buchanan from Texas.
Jimbo, wasn't that long ago you were talking to us about the importance of stacking really high-ranking classes together. This is going to be your third straight top 10 finish. So, what do you envision on where you go from here?
Our ultimate goal, we keep recruiting and hopefully that translates into the performance on the field, which I think it's starting to really good here. And we're enhancing that with the culture we're creating and the things we do. And that can, to SEC championships, national championships, that's our goals and where we're trying to get to and be the best we can be and create the competition from within that, hopefully the toughest games we play are the days we have in practice when you're going against another great player across the ball from you. And embracing that challenge and doing it every day to create the championship habits in which we have. And that's our goal. And you got to stack classes together to create the competition, to create the depth and create what you want to do.
And I don't think you were able to talk about Bryce Foster last time. So I just wanted to ask you if, how much did it catch you by surprise, or if it did catch you by surprise on that Zoom call when he announced his commitment to you?
No, I mean, it was when he did it, it did catch me off guard. I wasn't ready for it at the time, but I'll tell you, I didn't complain. I wasn't griping about it too much. It was all right with me, but just an outstanding young man. I think sky's the limit for him. Very gifted. Everybody thinks how big and strong he is, but what you don't realize is the athleticism, the lower body flexibility he has, the power he has, and it's why it creates the power, not just his upper body, his lower body. That's why he's such a great discus thrower. It's why he's such a great shot put thrower. I mean, he can create power from low to high, which is the way football is played, and I think has a tremendous future. Powerful, smart, intelligent, likes the work likes the grind of playing. I say a lot of guys like to play ball, but they don't like to go lift weights, they don't like to go run, they don't like to do all that stuff. Bryce is one of those guys that really does, and I think has a tremendous future. Very intelligent guy, very competitive guy, and going to be a two-sport guy for us who's going to throw the shot and disc here also.
Okay, thank you so much, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Next up is Christy from the Associated Press.
Hi, Coach. Kind of to build on what Olin was asking you, how do you feel like getting these new guys in here next season will help you be able to build on what the momentum and what your team was able to do this year?
Well, I think get them in, create the culture, and let our older guys show them how we work, what we do. But these guys are very talented. Listen, and you see it now. Freshmen are making impacts across the country. And you're recruiting these high guys. You got to get them on the field because they're too talented not to. You got to get them taught. You have to have them, and you have to have them for depth. You have to have them. Sometimes they become the big playmakers in what you're doing, or whatever it may be. But you're incorporating for the future because these guys are too gifted, and their ability to learn and older guys to incorporate them in. And that's what I'm happy too. Our older guys not fighting us. Hey, you're not taking my position, which, all right, I'm going to fight my position, but I'm going to help you because I need you if we're going to win a championship. We all have to be in this thing together. And those young guys are very talented, and I love those guys coming in ready to play. And hopefully they'll learn the culture of how we do things and play the championship level.
All right, next up is Mike Lucas from KAGS, and then we'll go Chuck.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys still have some targets on the offensive and defensive line who are yet to commit, but when you look at this group as a whole in the trenches, could you ever have imagined a haul quite like this when this class started taking shape?
Heck yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what we got to get to. But that is the key. You got to have it, and we've got it across the board. I'm very excited about our offense, defensive lines. You're exactly right. I think we got guys that are going to be great football players here, and I think have a lot of chances to hopefully play on Sundays when they get out of here. And some size, length, more importantly, very intelligent, sharp, good young guys, very competitive. Not only athletic and powerful, but have all the other tools, because listen, intelligence and being able to process information is so critical to your advancement in this game. And I think we've got those guys in this class, and I can't wait to get those guys and working with them.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next up is Chuck Carlton from the Dallas Morning News, and then Travis Brown.
Jimbo, is it easier now? Is it, I guess, an easier sell now with the success you had this past year than when you first arrived at A&M?
No doubt. Because people didn't know me, didn't know what to expect, how we were going to play, how we were going to perform, schemes and things we had. And I think then the success on the field is definitely. So I think we branded ourselves that, hey, we're a team that's going to be up there and contend for championships each year. We're a national team. We're going to be in that top group of people. We've recruited well, and they're starting to see the results on the field. So I think it's been, I don't say easier, because it's never easier to go recruit great players. You can recruit players and sign guys and sign some really good players. You want to sign the elite guys, those guys that put you in the championship, I don't care. That's always hard, because there's only a limited guys and everybody wants them. So that's always hard. But the information we're taking, the resume we're taking, and the things we're doing can match up. So it's making it much better.
And a quick follow, slightly off topic, but your plans for spring practice, and does the pandemic enter into it? Do you move back spring at all a little bit because of that?
We'll come in March, and then we got a spring game set for April 17th. So hopefully they've got the date where you can't come on campus at April 15th. If that doesn't change, then we'll be allowed to have fans and recruits and things on campus. If that changes, we'll have to adjust. But we're going to keep it right there with the spring games there, and we'll start right in the back end of March, kind of where we're at right after the normal spring, where the normal spring break would have been that very next week. So we'll start the same, and it works out perfect on April 17th for our spring game.
Next up is Travis Brown from the Brown College Station Eagle.
Hey, Coach, two questions. First, I know a little bit last signing day we talked about how different this signing year was because of the pandemic, because of the not being able to travel and whatnot. How was this last few months different from you, and what things did you have to do differently to get these last few players that you're going to get for this signing day?
Well, I mean, the same thing. It turned into Zoom and calls and texts and all that, doing it at home and just being a relentless at it, and having our staff did a great job. I mean, that's why I say hands off to Marshall and the guys who ran our recruiting staff and did the things they did. The Zooms were so informative and so detailed and so well done. From the technology, from the 12th Man helped us, and all the people and all the things we had, and their 12th Man Productions and the different things we were able to get out. People were saying our Zooms were better than everybody. We were more detailed. We gave more information, saw more things, and did a great job. And then our coaches building those relationships and spending that time. And, that's what it eventually gets down to. And we had the resources to be able to do it, and our people did a great job of it.
And I know you want to be able to see these players face to face, sometimes go get sit in their homes, but does being able to do this with the Zoom and those resources, does that make it a little bit more efficient that you can?
No doubt, because you can still visually see each other, talk to each other. And it's the only thing, it's the next best thing possible. It's nothing like face-to-face contacts. Nothing like watching a guy work out in person, nothing like watching a guy practice in person or play in person, but it is the next best thing. And it's amazing. I'm just glad we have it, because without it, it really would have been tough.
I know I said two, but I can't count. So one more. I know you mentioned earlier a little bit talking about some non-truths out there and some things like that. I know that happens every year, but you brought it up twice. Is it something that happened a little bit more this year?
No, there's nothing there. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast and what it is.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, let's go to Andrew Hattersley from Gig'em 247.
Yeah, Coach, wanted to ask you about Kenneth Phillips and just kind of his journey back from his injury and what kind of vision you have for where he fits in the defense.
We'll see where he is and where his development is, and our medical staff will look at him and what goes on and what happens, and we'll try to put him in the best position to be successful, and what he can and cannot do. That will be up to the doctors and where he goes, and we'll see from there. But he was a very gifted young man before his injury, and hopefully he'll get back to that.
And did the depth that you kind of have at the linebacker position, did that allow you to kind of target some other positions in this class?
We do. You have to, and you have to do that. And for classes and guys, and, you have to, it's not always, that's the only position we didn't take on the whole group, but the rest of them, we got a lot of depth in, and we have some really good players coming back. So it'll be a heavy group next year, hopefully.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we're getting near the end of the question queue. If you have questions, send me one, but right now we'll go to Gabe Bach from Texas.
Yeah, Jimbo, how thrilled are you with the way you've been stacking up defensive back classes, and what can you tell us about this group?
Well, I mean, one, I think I love the length. I love the versatility, the burst, the athleticism, but more importantly, all these guys were offensive players, and they have offensive skills. And when you're a great offensive player, you usually have great ball skills. And I think that's one of the sole most important things in secondary, being able to judge your football, high point to football, where it's going to come out. And the best defensive players I've ever been around were really offensive players, just had the mentality to play defense. They had the ball skills, they had the balanced body control, the body language. It goes on, not necessarily all the time, but those guys really translate. These guys were quarterbacks, they're receivers, or running backs, and I think it gives you, when you're a great offensive player, also gives you some insight to how a guy may run a route on you, things that go on. And these guys have great length, great athleticism, great space players, and have the versatility to either play nickel, safety, or corner, all of them. And because the game is a matchup game. They put tight ends outside like we do with our guys and move those guys, or you can put the big safeties out there and cover them like a corner. I mean, you have to, it's like basketball. They become positionless to a point. There's a position, you learn it, but you've got to be able to have the versatility to move guys around to create matchup with size and length. And I think all these guys have that.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Next up is Justin Woodard from KAGS, and then a follow-up from Chuck.
Hey, Coach. Want to talk receivers if we can real quick. Obviously, Banks, versatile player. Didn't see a lot of the other receivers, young wise this year. How do you see that group playing out in spring ball?
Oh, I think it's going to be great. I think some of those young guys have really come on. They've done a good job. At the end, they were ready to play. We just didn't get it mixed in with some tight games, but I think they're going to be ready to push some of those older guys. The young guys coming in will be Keith Brown and Shadrack. I think those guys will get in there. And like I say, there's a lot of ability inside, outside guys. The best guys are going to play, and we'll create that competition, see who can do it.
Quick follow-up on that. You mentioned positionless, Coach. A lot of those guys, can they go inside or out, or do you like to keep them at a certain spot?
No doubt. They can go in the slot or go outside and play both sides. And I think that's very critical in today's game.
All right, let's go to Chuck Carlton and then Brent Swerman.
Jimbo, all these, recruiting sites and services have their own form for recruiting classes. We do too in the media, but how do you judge whether you got the job done or not, at the end of the day?
By my own evaluation. I don't mean this is in any area. I'm not going to let anybody else judge players and tell me. If somebody's got to tell me who's a good player, I don't need to be the head coach. And what we do, and also the need we have. And here's what you understand. Scheme, system, attitude, competitive nature. There's a lot of players in this world that are great players that weren't at the top of the recruiting bug. And there's a lot of great ones that are at the top. I mean, it goes either way. But I'm going to tell you, your psychological disposition to compete, your intelligence level to be able to process information, your ability to be part of a team, your ability to make a difference, and also what scheme do we have that allows that guy to be successful? I mean, you look at some of our top guys right now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Nia Smith a 3-star? Wasn't our tight end Wiedemeyer a 3-star? Wasn't Spiller? Spiller was, he was a 4-star. I mean, there was guys there that are very good. And you look at the NFL, I don't think Tom Brady wasn't the highest recruited guy. Drew Brees wasn't the highest recruited guy. I mean, it goes across the board that they fit into system, they fit into scheme. There's two things. You got great players that do it, and you got to have them, and athleticism, size, speed, which is great. But then you got other guys that can really play the game. And you can picture that niche where they fit into you and what they do and how they do it and how successful. That's what makes football such a great game. There's such a difference of players that can have success and still win games, along with great players who can do that. So you got to have a mix of things and to recruit to your system. So, and how their production is. At the end of the day, how productive have they been? How they helped your football team?
Next up is Brent Swerman from the Houston Chronicle, and then Mark Passwaters.
I don't believe we visited with you since the schedule came out. At first glance, it seems like it shapes up as a favorable one for you. Just wanted to ask your impression.
When did an SEC schedule ever be favorable? Tell me when an SEC schedule is ever favorable.
Or is SEC
I'll trade with all the other conferences in the country. I promise you. No, especially an SEC West one. No, but that's why you play in this league, to be able to go play those great venues. We got a great game with Colorado on the road out there in Denver. Open up these other Power 5 teams and non-Power 5 teams are very athletic and good teams. So, I like our schedule. I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be the same and in our crossover games and where we go. But, we're going to have opportunities. And that's the one thing, you get through those schedules, you're as good as anybody in America.
And also, did you have any previous relationship with Steve Sarkisian, and wanted to ask you about Texas's hire over there as well?
No, I never did. I mean, I've known Steve. I bumped into him, said hello. I respected what he's done. I think he's been a good coach wherever he's been, and studied film of him, things he did on offense, things he did when he was they were at SC or Washington, or I always look around, but have always had great respect for Steve. Know him, to speak to him, say hello, and all those things. Never spent a lot of personal time with him, but I mean, Steve's a great coach, and Texas has got a lot of resources, a good place. So again, it don't matter who's it's going to be whoever's there is going to be tough, and we got to do a good job of recruiting and winning our battles.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Thank you.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Mark Passwaters from Rivals.com.
Jimbo, we didn't get a chance to talk to you about Elijah Judy since he's officially signed after we talked to you last. So I wanted to ask about your thoughts on him and basically just the depth you now have at defensive end.
Well, I mean, and there's another guy who's a big end that can run, change direction, has power, can go inside and be a pass rush guy, can be moved around to create mismatches. And they, like those guys up front, the versatility in which they create. Very good player, long, heavy-handed, strong, athletic. I mean, I love him. I love him.
How about just the depth that you've got at the position now, bringing with him and Shamar and Tunmise and just the guys you already got on campus?
Well, you do, and then some of those guys will be older, but you got to have that. Just you keeps your rotation fresh, keeps guys fresh, not just in the game, but like that schedule we just talked about. You're going through an SEC schedule and another part of your off season. You're in game 11, 12, and you get a couple playoff games. You get a couple. If you're in a conference championship game, it's like an NFL season. And back when you can keep that rotation fresh early in September and October and have success, and then you get to November, December, and those guys are still fresh-legged, fresh-bodied, and can keep that going. It's huge. And those up front guys, and then you got to understand there's going to be injuries up front. Just Michael unfortunately got hurt last year. That's part of the game, and having that depth and guys ready to go. So how quickly we can get those young guys to go, it's going to help us in our rotations and depth for the whole year, and if any injuries occur.
Okay, you just reminded me, you got Michael Clemens back. So if you'd be willing to talk about getting him and Miles Jones and Keldrick back.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Along with Peavy. We had Peavy back in that group too, and they got Aaron Hansford back in that group too. So, I mean, we got a lot of guys that can play that do that. You got a lot of experience. And it's important to keep those older guys being around. The culture of how we do things and how we think and what's gotten us here, I think is very important translating not only on the field to these guys, but off the field and all the things in which we do.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that's all the questions we have for you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.